So now I'm discussing the seventh chapter, which is titled "The Power is Up for Grabs." Just from the little that I can see of the first page or the first two pages of this, it seems like there's a huge emphasis on the competitions, which has always kind of just been my least favorite element of Big Brother. So unless they're talking about the head of household, the power of veto, the function of those, I really don't care to focus too much on the competitions. But we do have our quote. It was the birth of the subgenre of challenge producing. A lot of talented people came through Big Brother. And this is from Mike Miller. So this person was the challenge producer from Big Brother 3 to Big Brother 5. And we all know that the challenges in the earlier seasons were a lot more simplistic, especially compared to what would come later on. Competition is the bedrock of Big Brother. Innovative games are what breathed new life into the format in 2001. What began as inventive yet straightforward challenges have since evolved into elaborate theatrical spectacles. Season 1, a carbon copy of the Dutch edition, includes only one recurring challenge. The house can increase its grocery allowance if a weekly team activity is completed successfully. BB1's executive producer, Douglas Ross, describes these early challenges as theoretical, literary, and whimsical, and notes that they aren't as strong as the cutthroat games implemented in subsequent seasons. For instance, one weekly challenge requires house guests to ride 1,000 miles on a stationary bike in recognition of the Tour de France. In another, they must guess the interstates used to travel between various U.S. cities. One third of these weekly challenges come directly from a catalog containing competitions that were successfully performed in Europe. In week 3, for example, contestants endeavor to assemble 11,000 dominoes. This challenge is inspired by Domino D-Day, a popular TV show in the Netherlands, which set Guinness World Record for tumbling dominoes. Later into Big Brother 1, as Endemol releases its grasp ever so slightly, American producers gain more freedom to create original challenges. One such challenge is the Baby in the Mud relay race, where contestants must army crawl through a pool of mud while keeping a baby doll completely clean. By this point in the series, the backyard has fallen into disarray. The Dutch-inspired vegetable garden and chicken coop are abandoned due to crop failure and lack of egg production from the chickens. Embracing the unkept state of the backyard, the creative team transforms it into a muddy swamp. It is interesting to hear the context of this, where there are clear plans for the backyard and a lot of things with Big Brother 1, but they had to consistently change it as the season went on, since a lot of things just weren't working. So, this is very interesting. Robert Kaplan, who comes to Big Brother 1 from MTV's Road Rules, oversees the story department and is credited with engineering many of the series' livelier challenges. Kaplan was always spitballing ideas, recalls story editor Frank Werewald. The more outrageous, the better was his mantra. At one point, the backyard is flooded with dozens of nearly identical pugs, challenging house guests to identify Chiquita, the house pet, in a pug version of Where's Waldo. Chris Lora didn't expect to be working on games, but his ship happens to fall when BB1's weekly competition is held. In 2000, quote unquote challenge producing isn't a thing, so Laura learns on the job, working closely with camera people and editors to capture all the right shots. This is his foray into a now 25-year career creating competition shows. Notably, Laura has launched several series in the UK, including I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, which has featured personalities like Ginny Dickinson, George Takei, and Martina Navratilova. A defining feature of Big Brother 1 is how disjointed the series feels. Apart from the recurring grocery challenge, there are various production initiated activities that appear to serve no purpose at all. However, according to Endemol's Paul Romer, these seemingly random activities were intentional. We used challenges to control the temperature in the house, he explains. If things became too tense, we gave them games to relax and release tension. How boring. But par for the course for Big Brother 1. In respect to this. So, such as a lighthearted group activity where contestants paint themselves as zoo animals. If things were boring, we gave them challenges to spice it up a bit, like a survey in which contestants must name which of their fellow housemates they believe to be the most cowardly, wishy-washy, and a spate of other negative adjectives. Games became increasingly competitive in 2001. This is part and parcel of the amended format. These challenges are thrifty and simple, given the limited crew assembling them, typically just two members. Oh wow, I didn't realize it was that little. That's absurd thinking about it now and really just soaking that in. Anyways, for instance, an early food competition sees Huskies drinking a blended version of their favorite meal. Most HOH competitions are quiz based, like blindfolded step up, step down games. While these games are simplistic, the beauty lies in their relatability to viewers, who can easily imagine themselves competing, pondering how they might fare. If only they kept that with the more recent seasons. Following the success of Big Brother 2, CBS plans to introduce a celebrity edition in the winter. I feel like I kind of heard about this, especially when they are promoting Celebrity Big Brother US in the late 2010s. But it's interesting that they wanted a version of this so early on in the show's history, and realizing that it took almost 2 decades for this to actually come into play is very interesting. Mike Miller, a budding producer, is invited to interview for a story editor position. Alison Gardner suggests to Miller that he would be better suited to work in a new unit of the show, the games department, based on his experiences creating small challenges for FX Network's The X Show. Miller accepts the gig, but unfortunately, the celebrity edition is axed prematurely. Les Moonves is unhappy with the quality of celebrities willing to participate. It's the Ron Jeremys of Hollywood, not the Jennifer Anistons, signing up for Celebrity Big Brother. And that really hasn't changed. Anyways, although Miller won't be joining in the winter, Gardner invites him to return in the summer to help enhance Big Brother 3's competitions. The initial games department is a small shop with a handful of producers working alongside the art department. Season 3, we started being a little more prop intensive and doing bigger build-outs in the backyard, says Miller. This gradual expansion continues the following summer. In season 4, the backyard undergoes a transformation into a massive duck pond for the Duck Ball Power of Veto competition. Contestants must aim colorful rubber ducks into a cylinder while standing on a stone arch bridge. It was really, really magical, recalls Miller. That was the first time there was a complete takeover of the backyard from the arts department. He attributes the impressive visuals of Duckball, as well as many later competitions, to the expertise of longtime Big Brother prop master John Douglas West. He was really instrumental in helping make the games bigger and bigger each season. Mike's most memorable creation is a competition he devised in Big Brother 5 called Catapultry. Contestants have 5 minutes to slingshot rubber chickens into various egg baskets, each labeled with a specific food item. Successful shots earn the corresponding item, while landing in a quote unquote bag egg basket results in the loss of all the earned items, requiring contestants to start over. Miller later adapts this challenge for The Amazing Race, creating 2010's Watermelon Launch. In this version, the Amazing Race contestants use a massive slingshot to launch melons at medieval suits of armor targets. The competition has since gone viral online, racking 9 million views on YouTube alone. Jim Buss joins the games department in season 4. His career began in the early 90s on Legends of the Hidden Temple. This Nickelodeon program sees children competing in an elaborate obstacle course based on the Indiana Jones movies. Buss follows this up with work on Battle Dome, a syndicated series in which adults face off in strength and agility challenges. One challenge sees the opponents standing on a rotating bridge, each armed with a giant padded club, aiming to topple the other to the ground below. This experience leads Bus to The Amazing Race in 2002, where his skills catch the Jen Maynard's attention. Impressed, Maynard appoints Bus to lead Big Brother's games department, a position he holds for 3 consecutive seasons, from '03 to '05. Oh, sorry, Big Brother 3 to Big Brother 5. Each summer, Bus and his team arrive 6 weeks before the premiere to test ideas and source materials. This includes a pre-season shopping spree at Toys R Us. We will walk around the store and find games that activate our brains. From eccentric kit toys to Milton Bradley board games, he and his team load up their bungalow on the CBS Radford lot and dive into playtime like excited schoolchildren. Once their creative energies are flowing, they start brainstorming new concepts for the show. We just fill up a wall with hundreds of ideas, note cards and note cards of ideas, recalls Buzz. The atmosphere is so lively that a production assistant on Will and Grace, Dave Malkoff, departs the sitcom to join in on the fun. In 2010, Malkoff creates the idea for Zingbot, an insult-slinging robot that becomes a staple of the series. The best ideas from the team's brainstorming sessions are pitched to executive producers. Of course, because everything's pitched to the executive producers, since they have the final say. Buzz emphasizes the show's first competition always has to be the most extravagant. A memorable competition for him is Big Brother 5's Hungry Hungry Helix, in which contestants must climb across an enormous rotating DNA strand and collect shiny multicolored balls, each labeled with a specific grocery item. Visually, it was really stunning, but the motor had so much trouble, he says. This challenge is also etched into the memory of art director Nancy M. Bates, who admits to blowing a huge portion of her budget to bring it to light. After that season, I did not want to work on Big Brother again, she confesses, recalling the difficulty building elaborate sets on a shoestring budget. That's very interesting, but I feel like that's something that was kind of hinted at earlier on in the book. Another stand-up competition for Buzz is one he created, in where houseguest portraits are blended into a single composite. Contestants must race to unscramble the pictures of the fastest time, or in the fastest time. In Big Brother 8, oh, this is a morph competition. Anyways, in Big Brother 8, this competition is called Janelle Ovision, hosted by fan favorite Janelle. In Big Brother 5, it's titled Mugshot. This challenge has been featured in several seasons over the years. According to Buzz, the measure of a successful competition is its ability to generate story. This sentiment is echoed by nearly everyone who has worked in the games department. What you really want is a challenge that has ramifications inside the house afterwards, says producer Ryan Simpkins, who's worked on 7 seasons of the show. He points to the white elephant style challenges in which prizes and punishments are exchanged as the game progresses. That game always leads to drama, every single time, he says. This competition causes BB-8's Jen and BB-11's Lydia to be sentenced to several days clad in humiliating unitards. Or as Michelle from Big Brother 10 says, a leotard! A leotard! Making sure that viewers can follow along at home is another important consideration. Simpkins cites two contrasting examples, an unsuccessful challenge based on the board game Corridor and a successful challenge called Laying the Pipe, both from Season 4. Honestly, I don't remember either challenge. In Corridor, the objective is to reach the opposite side of a grid while opponents strategically install blockade pieces. Oh, I remember this one. I believe this was the veto competition in week 5 where Nathan ends up going home early. Well, he ends up going home early in the competition. He complained about it and then he went home that week. According to Simpkins, this game was fun to play test, but difficult to follow on screen. Conversely, the laying pipe sees contestants racing to connect pipes, the goal to facilitate continuous water flow from point A to point B. This challenge offers clear visibility of contestants' progress, allowing viewers at home to easily discern who's ahead and who's behind. Safety is the most crucial aspect of challenge production. I'm glad Big Brother considers this, unlike the challenge, but that's besides the point. Simpkins reveals that some games don't survive playtesting. For instance, in the early years, a proposed challenge would have required Huskers to be submerged in a kiddie pool with a breathing tool, the goal to outlast competitors without knowing their status in the game. We playtested it and found it really not be a good game for anybody's mental health, he explains. Don't they do a similar challenge like this in Survivor? Without the tubes, but they're underwater, then they kind of have to hold their face up, if I remember correctly. Anyways, fortunately, this series has experienced only a handful of minor safety incidents. A notable incident is during Big Brother 12's first HOH competition, when Brittany injures her knee after awkwardly tumbling from a giant glider resembling a hot dog. She playfully recounts the incident in the diary room, confessing to losing her dignity on a slippery wiener. Although challenges are generally fair and square, some have sparked widespread controversy or conspiracy theories. For over a decade, debate continues to swirl around a Big Brother 15 competition where some fans believe they saw a contestant deliberately sabotaged by production. The competition in question, Off the Wall, sees Hoskins balancing on a shifting mechanical beam while attempting to catch soft balls without falling. The controversy begins when Helen, a 37-year-old political consultant from Chicago, loses her balance and falls from the beam. As she falls, eagle-eyed fans notice a crew member visible through a small slit behind her feet, fueling speculation that Helen was pushed to prevent her from continuation in the challenge. Despite his status in Big Brother lore, longtime competition producer Heath Lemon dispels the hashtag Helen was pushed rumors. According to Lumen, during the competition, safety personnel noticed that some house guests are sitting in potentially unsafe positions, raising legitimate concerns about injuries if the mechanical apparatus were to move in the wrong direction. After the concern is flagged, a crew member enters the backyard for a closer look. As fate would have it, Helen falls as they are standing behind her. Newman feels an official statement could have easily clarified this. However, the executive team opts to ignore the speculation. Even though Helen wasn't pushed, not all challenges have been squeaky clean. In Big Brother 9, during the final four HOH competition, contestants are confronted with a question about a quote unquote pre existing relationship still in the house. There's a long pause before Julie reads the answer. She too, presumably dumbstruck by the supposed correct answer. Chen reveals the answer to be true, citing the house's pet guinea pigs as the pre existing relationship. This question cost Sharon the win, and she's evicted in that round. Many viewers, including former winner Evil Dick, have denounced this as an egregiously unfair competition. Jeffrey D'Alessandro, who's produced 14 seasons of Big Brother, firmly denies any intentional rigging of the show's challenges. You can't tamper with game shows, he says. There's federal regulations. D'Alessandro refers to the 1950s game show scandals, where widespread cheating by producers and contestants led to lawsuits and legislative reforms. However, D'Alessandro's assertion contradicts a alleged correspondent from the U.S. Federal Communications Commission in 2007. This correspondence suggests that Big Brother is not classified as a game show, but rather a quote unquote pseudo contest in which the outcome is fully or in some measure predetermined. There have been very few court challenges brought under the legislation enacted last century, further indicating its lack of applicability to competition reality shows like Big Brother. I am glad that they mentioned this because that producer definitely tried it with that statement about how, oh, it's classified as a game show, though everyone knows that it's not officially classified as a game show because they have rules, regulations, standards, expectations, and boundaries. Challenge rules aren't the only area for possible fixing. Before the start of each season, challenges are slotted into a pre-arranged schedule. However, there have been instances where these challenges are reordered without clear explanation. At least one former house guest insists that this is done to advantage fan favorites and enable the continuation of engaging storylines. I am glad this is mentioned because I know this has been something that's been heavily debated about, and I remember this being referred to in Big Brother Canada, where it was mentioned that certain twists and certain competitions were preset from beginning to end way before the season started. But Big Brother US is definitely a lot looser with that, and there are definitely some examples, mainly Big Brother 13, where it's clear that they did not predetermine the order of certain competitions. Anyways, on to the next part. Production is invested in power shifting from week to week, explains Big Brother 12's Regan. He references a moment from Big Brother 13 when Rachel, a charismatic and outspoken house guest, is at risk for eviction. The show introduces a power of veto competition identical to the one she had previously won as a head of household competition in Big Brother 12. Many contend this was done deliberately to give Rachel a distinct advantage. I'm glad they did mention this example, since this was the most notable one to me. Lumen, who started on season 4 and spent 13 summers, so that would mean ending after Big Brother 16, confirms that the competitions are occasionally swapped. Okay, so I'm glad this has been confirmed so people can stop acting like this doesn't happen. He denies that it necessarily means anything nefarious is at play, suggesting that real life tragedies like plane crashes or hurricanes could hypothetically prompt producers to reshuffle the competitions so as to not appear insensitive to the public. While that might have been true, they do switch competitions so they can have a preferred outcome. Or they do a lot more physical competitions in a season or for certain weeks, so it will be more likely for a buff male to win those competitions and stuff like that. Yet, when pressed on whether competitions have ever been rearranged to favor certain players, he doesn't provide a clear answer, only indicating that he himself has never engaged in such practices. Big Brother shares close ties with The Joe Schmo Show, which airs from 2003 to 2004 on Keeple's Spike channel. It's a semi-scripted series where one contestant, known as Joe Schmo, is unwittingly placed amongst a cast of improvisational actors. The series cleverly parodies the tropes and stereotypes of early reality shows. Its first season features Kristen Wiig, who will later find success on Saturday Night Live and the hit 2011 film Bridesmaids. Paul Wernick and John Moore, co-creator and executive producer respectively, were both producers on Big Brother 2 before landing Joe Schmo. Big Brother charge producers Mike Miller and Heath Newman also work on both series. Newman notes that both shows share broad physical comedy elements. A memorable Joe Schmo competition, Money, 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 Honey, sees the cast showered with honey and rolling around in banknotes. Similarly, on Big Brother 12, a food competition called Sweet Tooth sees contestants crawling through caramel and into a giant container of popcorn. This challenge is notable for Cassie, a 40-year-old sheriff from Texarkana, Arkansas, getting stuck in the caramel, completely unable to move. Big Brother's approach to challenge production has changed significantly over the years. Crew members used to be strictly prohibited from being in the backyard with contestants. That is not true today. While some argue this compromises the integrity of the original format, keeping contestants cut out from the outside world, Lumen explains that it's about prioritizing safety and optimizing camera coverage. In the early days of the show, crew members are reprimanded for making themselves known to Huskus. This happens when a story editor uses an unconventional approach to capture the footage he needed. During Big Brother 2, some contestants are convinced the house is haunted due to the eerie creaks and cracks they're hearing at night. Unbeknownst to them, these sounds are merely the result of the camera crew shifting around behind the walls. Nevertheless, it inspires a seance-themed segment, and Huskus are provided a Ouija board. Story editor Daniel Shriver is tasked with capturing footage of the ravens that frequently perch atop the backyard enclosure walls. Unfortunately, they are nowhere to be found, so he pilfers some blueberry muffins from craft services and tosses them atop the wall in the hopes of luring them back. Some of the pieces miss their mark and land in the yard below. The next morning, Kent and Monkey awaken to find bits of muffins scattered around the yard. The live feed was full of people talking about the blueberry muffins, recalls Shriver. I had a lot of explaining to do. Online viewers speculate that a crazed fan must have been responsible for the muffin invasion. As games become bigger and more elaborate, there's greater need, from a legal standpoint, to ensure Huskies are not put in any dangerous situations. Safety spotters are stationed in the backyard during challenges. That makes sense. There are also more ambitious efforts happening to capture high quality visuals, so having camera crew in the backyard enables more versatile coverage. Season 14 and on, the backyard becomes much more transformed, Newman explains. CBS wanted to have it be really art directed where you can't even tell you're in the yard. A silk fabric is flown overhead to improve visual quality by softening the light. This aesthetic transformation is particularly evident in a Big Brother 25 competition where house guests compete for the HOH in the Nether region, a spooky setting reminiscent of a dimly lit American street corner. This challenge is quite cheesy. At the end, at the end of each round, an imposing quote-unquote Nether region, a masked figure dressed in black eliminates contestants who fail to move forward in the game. Those eliminated must hop into a quote-unquote blue vortex to return to the house, created using CGI and special effects. Over the course of a standard season, challenge producers are responsible for creating around 40 competitions, balancing classics and originals. The demand for pristine aesthetics and over-the-top transformations puts a squeeze on the games department. Newman recalls often pitching competitions that minimize the need for extensive backyard alterations. This is how Big Brother 18's Black Box came about. In this challenge, house guests search for discs in a darkened room. Visually, it's impressive, and the lack of a backyard takeover provides a welcome break for Lumen and his team. Lumen, who led the games department longer than anyone else, has his favorite innovations. During Big Brother 7, he thought that it would be fun to blend musical chairs and trivia. He also likened the idea of mythology and sacrifice. This concept evolved into the character Otev, Vila spelled backwards. Sally Benning, the prop master at The Amazing Race, is enlisted to help bring the idea to life. Betty and Lehman stay on set until 3 a.m., sewing together miniature voodoo dolls. Ryan Simpkins, who departs following season 10, is most proud of introducing a mime into the Big Brother 4 house. That was lame, to be honest, and you can tell the Haskins didn't like it either. All season long, Simpkins begs his boss, Jim Buss, and finally gets his blessing in the final week of the show. Approaching 3 months of seclusion, Huskies are excited to learn that a visitor is stopping by. Grammy Award winner Sheryl Crow provided a private concert last summer, so this was in Big Brother 3. So expectations are understandably high from whom it could be. Instead of a pop star, however, they, meaning the Big Brother 4 Huskies, are greeted by a smelly mime. Instructed by producers via an earpiece, the mime mimics Huskies' movements, even stealing a sandwich from an upset and agitated Robert. That was really fun for me as an up and coming producer, says Simpkins, to have something in my mind and make it happen on a stage where 10 million people watch it. Another competition Simpkins champions is Big Brother 8's Hide and Seek Veto, in which contestants ransack the house in search of hidden veto symbols. From the playful group challenges of the Dutch inspired BB1 to the innovative and experimental competitions of the early years to the extravagant and sophisticated games of today, Big Brother opened the door for creatives to blossom in a new field of work. As Mike Neal says, it was the birth of the subgenre of challenge producing. A lot of great, talented people came through Big Brother. And then I'm looking through the book online. It just shows a bunch of pictures of like the camera crew, a few of the workers, and yeah, I don't really have much to say about this category in general because I personally don't really care much for the challenges. But props to them for